This election night, stay right here for your race results. The CW and America's fastest growing cable news network, NewsNation, are teaming up to bring you the fairest election coverage all night long, offering complete transparency. Our partners at Decision Desk HQ allow viewers to watch in real time how the trajectory of the race changes. Fact-driven, transparent, with respect for all Americans. NewsNation Election Night, Tuesday, 8/7 Central on the CW.
It's finally here. It's Election Day, and NewsNation is bringing us election night coverage right here on CW Austin tonight at 7 p.m. Joining us to tell us all about what we can expect is moderator of The Hill and NewsNation's chief Washington correspondent, Blake Berman. Blake, the polls are tight. What do the polls tell us today?
So, look, on Election Day, you know, we're obviously focusing on the 7 key swing states, right? Out west, it's Nevada and Arizona. In the Midwest, it is Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and then down in the Southeast, it's Georgia and North Carolina. That is most likely going to determine who the next president of the United States is. We've seen this as a very tight race, sort of the second iteration of the race, right? Vice President Harris against Donald Trump. We've seen this as a very tight race in the national polls. We've seen this as a very tight race in the swing state polls. What these campaigns have done to work up to this point is to try to get their bases out, to try to get their voters out, to make sure that the absentee ballot that's sitting on the table in the living room doesn't end up sitting on the table in the living room and gets into the mailbox when it needs to be in the mailbox. That's what these campaigns have been focusing on down the home stretch here, and we'll see how these 7 states shake out. We'll see if the blue wall in the Midwest stays blue or if there's a mix. If Donald Trump is able to keep the South red, what happens out in Nevada? Does it stay blue? Does that flip? We'll see how it all shakes out, but that's a big part of what we're watching throughout the day and into the evening. And I got to say, into the upcoming days, because who knows when this eventually all gets sorted out.
That's a good point. Okay, as we're talking about possible changes in the balance of power, what are you tracking for the House and Senate races?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? Because we obviously focus so much on the presidential race, and for good reason. It's the president of the United States, leader of the free world. But they won't be able to get anything done, whoever it is, Donald Trump, VP Harris, if there's gridlock up on Capitol Hill. I say anything done, really, their main priorities they won't be able to get done if there's gridlock. Right now, the Democrats and Republicans that I talk to, they all believe that the Senate is going to go Republican. It's a very hard map for Democrats to defend. That's just the reality right now. In the House, our partners at Decision Desk HQ have it essentially just like the presidential race as a coin flip at this point in time. As you might know, the House right now is only separated by a handful of votes, and that's kind of the way that this could go leading into it. You talk to Democrats and Republicans, and at least the folks that I talk to, no one's really convinced that they can definitively say, here's how I think the House is going to play out. So it's one of the more fascinating and not often talked about dynamics in all of this is no matter who the president is going to be, there's a real chance, not saying it's going to happen, but there's a real chance that you could get a dynamic where the House and the Senate are controlled by 2 different parties.
An interesting point. I'm glad you brought up the Decision Desk, because I was reading into what makes NewsNation's coverage different as people are flipping around channels for election night. Will you talk to me a little bit about the amount of effort that y'all have put in to really giving people up-to-the-minute updates?
Yeah, so I host The Hill on NewsNation, 6 o'clock Eastern, and I've been working with the folks at Decision Desk HQ, who I've name-checked a couple times now, DDHQ. They were the first ones to call the race in 2020 in favor of President Biden. They're fantastic. And they'll be the ones leading our coverage, or be the ones who are going to be the ones making the announcements and the decisions on when races are called. It'll be independent. You'll have a look into exactly how all of this is happening. and they're going to be the ones who are powering this for us here at NewsNation as we all watch, whether it's the president and the key races. DDHQ is our partner in all this here tonight and in the upcoming days as well.
Absolutely. Blake, we thank you for your time because I know tonight is going to be a long night for you, my friend. We appreciate your time. Guys, watch NewsNation Decision Desk 24 election coverage tonight starting at 7 p.m. right here on CW Austin.